Hello and welcome to Zekas and Wrestling's review, thoughts, processes, feelings about the Royal Rumble 2026 live from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I'm about 45 minutes since the show ended, so I've had a little bit of time to just get a cup of tea and gestate my feelings towards the show, which was it was an okay show. I think in the end, I think it was some things that happened that I thought were good. I thought there were things that happened that were memorable, and there were things that happened that I thought, that's an odd decision. But look, I'm going to try not to be negative and just rip the things I don't like, because I hate that sort of review online. You just think, it didn't go the way I thought it would, and now I'm going to complain about it. No, we're just going to comment about what happened, and then sort of speculate as to what it could possibly mean, if anything, or sort of what they're thinking. What are you thinking? Maybe the summary of the show, but again, in a positive manner, or trying to be. I'm going to attempt to be. Anyway, we'll start with the first match, which was the Women's Royal Rumble, which obviously looks and feels a bit different in Saudi Arabia than it would usually look in most other places in the world, because obviously the women have to wear different attire as a result of being respectful to the country that they're in, which obviously allows, it certainly allowed the women that took part to customize the hell out of their attire. There were some really cool outfits, and you can see they take the opportunity to sort of go a bit nuts when it comes to what they're going to wear and how they're going to wear it and what it's going to look like and sort of represent and all that sort of stuff. So that's always fun to look out for. Not that I'm like an TV channel correspondent or anything, but yeah, it's interesting outfits to look out for. But yeah, I thought a fun Rumble. In fact, I actually preferred this Rumble to the men's, but I seemingly am in the minority online about that. But yeah, for me, I thought this was much more an interesting Rumble than the men's. I thought there was more stories being sort of poked at and things to set up for future moments, probably at Mania, realistically. So I preferred this Rumble to the men's, and I thought it was, for the most part, okay. I'll be honest, the crowd was so quiet for this one. This was probably the match that the crowd was the most quietest for in the whole night. I'm not disparaging the country that they're in, with historic knowledge of their relationship with women or representation. Not getting into any of that. I'm just saying this was the match I thought they were the most quiet for reasons which may or may not involve lighting, because honestly, it looked like 3/4 of the stadium was empty. But I'm told, or stuff is coming out online subsequently, mainly from Sean Ross Sapp and other journalists, saying that the lights that were on the seats, which you see in most arenas now around the world, to sort of shine lights during concerts and stuff, they were blinding to or they were piercing to the cameras, and you couldn't see people that were sitting in them because it looked really empty, combined with the fact it was really quiet. I thought midway through that people hadn't just found their seats yet, that there was a problem getting in and out of the stadium maybe, but I don't know. Long story short, that this was the match they were the most quiet for, I thought, until about 3/4 of the way in. I thought it really picked up some steam. Some big names were in there at the time, like Rhea Ripley, Asuka, Io, Raquel Rodriguez, Liv, some other people in there as well. Key standouts for the match. I mean, obviously, we'll talk about the winner. Congratulations to Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan is going to WrestleMania, as they say. I think it's a smart winner. I don't disagree with this. It ticks all my little personal boxes for a Royal Rumble winner, which is someone who hasn't won it before, someone who could do with the win for one, and someone who, for storyline reasons, is obviously going to benefit from it. I think. And you're potentially making a new star. Obviously, that doesn't really apply in this scenario with Liv, but I think she's never won it before. It makes all the sense in the world. You can see the storyline ramifications as a result of her winning, especially the fact she eliminated Raquel during the closing moments of the match, which I thought was really cool. Some great showings, I think, for Lash Legend in particular. I think Jordynne Grace looked good as well. She got a few eliminations. Lash Legend got the most eliminations of the night, I thought. Just trying to think of some other key moments here from my notes. Charlotte and Alexa started 1 and 2, which was interesting, but they decided not to touch each other. They waited for other people. But then Charlotte accidentally eliminated Alexa, which is hopefully going to provide some intrigue going forward. In a similar vein, Asuka was accidentally eliminated by Kairi Sane, so that's going to prove some intrigue going forward. Becky was eliminated by Natty. Weirdly, we had the return of Brie Bella to combine as a team with Nikki Bella. I'm not a massive fan of the Bellas, if I'm perfectly honest with you. So that did nothing for me, but seemingly people online were raving about the return of them, so good for them. And I'm sure that is going to lead to a tag title match at some point, maybe at Mania. There you go. There was no AJ Lee, which surprised me. Becky got it into it with Maxine Dupree and Natalya predominantly, and was eliminated by Natalya after eliminating Maxine. So yeah, that's that. And otherwise, the match was fine. There was sort of a few spots that, I mean, Rhea's elimination as a result of Raquel Tahana bombed her right on the ring apron. That was a nasty elimination. That looked rough. And yeah, I thought for me, this was my preferred match of the two. And Liv is going to go on to WrestleMania, where she's probably going to face Stephanie Vaquer unless something changes. Interestingly, Raquel Rodriguez has obviously got the title match this Monday on Raw against Stephanie. It'd be a really interesting thing to do, to put the title on Raquel now and possibly have the Judgment Day implode. What with Finn Balor potentially facing Dom at Mania, which has always been long mooted now for the IC title. And then you've got Liv and Raquel sparring for the world title. That would really implode the Judgment Day. And I'm a big fan of Judgment Day, but I think it may be time to end that faction once and for all. Long as I want them to continue, I think it's probably time. So yeah, that'd be interesting if they did that. I'm actually not expecting that. I think Liv is probably going to go on to face Stephanie at Mania for the belt. That'd be my gut feel. Yeah, and we'll go on from there, basically. That was it. Next match, second match, and a Gunther versus AJ Styles. AJ Styles retires if he loses. I'll be honest, I had no inclination that AJ was going to lose this. On my predictions video, I think I predicted... Oh, by the way, for the record, I did predict Bianca Belair was going to win the women's, and I got that 100% wrong. So there you go. I know nothing. Anyway, AJ Styles, Gunther. I predicted that AJ wouldn't lose, but Gunther would... Oh, sorry. Gunther wouldn't win, but AJ Styles wouldn't retire. In the end, I was dead wrong on both those things. Gunther did win, and AJ Styles apparently... They're reporting, has actually retired. Now, there's a lot to delve into there. The match was good, by the way. It was a really good match between the two. The two amazing wrestlers, anyway. And we're now in the situation where AJ Styles, after the match, was going to take his gloves off and leave them in the ring, as per John Cena did his armbands and his trainers. We've seen wrestlers like Triple H leave their boots in the ring, Undertaker leave his hat and coat and all that sort of stuff. AJ decided to put his gloves back on, and then in what looked like an upset in tears moment, walk from the ring to the back. Commentary's reporting it as he's actually retired now. Adam Pearce on Raw said there's no going back if you agree to this. So, as per now, and I've seen merch in the shop now saying thank you AJ. So, as far as we know it is actually verbatim what's happened. He is retired. He's gone off into the sunset. Certainly from a WWE perspective. Now, it's the interesting thing is this real? Which of course they're loving to play with at the moment with their Unreal series, and loving to sort of swerve us in various different ways using different forms of media manipulation and all this other stuff. The question I've got is, or the ultimate thing I want to be the case, is that this is down to AJ Styles. This is predominantly an AJ Styles led decision, just like John Cena's was. He wants to retire on his own terms. He's given them a bunch of dates, said, look, by the end of the year I want to retire. Done. If this is true, if AJ has retired from WWE, should we say, then this was his decision. I just find it really hard to believe that he would go out on a show in Saudi Arabia from a WWE perspective, but maybe I'm wrong. So there's multiple options. Maybe he is actually retired now, and we just will never see AJ Styles again wrestle. But it doesn't feel like that. It really doesn't feel like that. So in which case, I'm sort of led to believe, through my own sort of self-deluded logic maybe, that AJ Styles is going to either turn up on Raw and course reverse and say, actually, do you know what? The way it went down, I'm not happy with. I'm going to stick around. In which case, Gunther has rights to go. That's going against our agreement. You little liar, you. And then I don't know what that leads to. Which no one's gonna be upset about, by the way. Not one person. The other option is that AJ Styles has decided he wants to go wrestle elsewhere in his last year. He wants to go either back to TNA, which by the way he could do while still in WWE, but whatever. Or he wants to go back to New Japan and do a couple of dream matches maybe on his way out. Maybe even venture into AEW for a year and have a couple of dream matches there, dare I say it? I don't know. But I wouldn't... As long as he's leading the charge, then I guess we're just going to have to accept the decision, okay? And it's similar to John Cena retiring. People didn't like it, but it seemingly was very much John Cena-led from everything we're hearing and seeing and it's been reported. So in a similar vein, as long as AJ Styles is the one leading the decision-making in terms of this, and it's not just a corporate, nasty sort of, you will retire in Saudi Arabia and that's the end of it, then I think we've just got to accept it and move on. But I thought it was a good match, and if it is to be AJ Styles last in the WWE ring, which would be a real shame, to be honest, but I get it, it's a personal decision. As long as it is a personal decision, like I said before, then we're just going to have to relax. But a good match, and thank you, AJ, I guess. Ultimately, that's what we'll go. And well done, Gunther. Congratulations to him. Next match was the WWE title match between Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. I think we all knew how this was going to go. It's always difficult at the Royal Rumble when there's matches in between the Royal Rumbles, because that's what you really tune in for. But I thought these were two actually good matches. I thought the AJ Gunther one was a lot better than this one. Not denigrating or saying Sami Zayn and Drew aren't good, because they are. We all know that they are. But yeah, Drew McIntyre basically, I think, dominated this match against Sami. Sami was the hometown favourite, obviously, with his religious synergy with Saudi Arabia, and so he, was cheered from the rafters from the off. But Drew, I thought dominated this, and in the end, 2 claymores after some silly bollocks on the outside. Was enough for Drew to basically dominate and that Sami back of the line, and that was it. Really, nothing else really to say about it. It was a WWE title match that ended the way it probably should end, and Drew hopefully is now going to take this belt into Mania, as he probably should. And yeah, on we go. Next up, we have the men's Royal Rumble match. Finally, we have the men's Royal Rumble match. I think there's quite a lot to get into with this, for better or for worse. And again, I'm not trying to just moan and say this didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, so I'm going to moan about it on the internet. I really don't want to do that. So let's start from the off. I thought Obafemi would win. That was who I predicted in my predictions video. I was wrong, but I was right in that he was going to have a really good showing. And I think that everyone probably saw that coming a million miles away. Who wouldn't? Obafemi's amazing. But the opening of the match started with Bron Breakker and Obafemi as 1 and 2. On the way to the ring, number 2 Bron Breakker was attacked by a mystery assailant and given a curb stomp. Hint, hint. And that mystery assailant chucked him in the ring, ran through the crowd, with Paul Heyman shouting, "It's Seth Rollins!" But there was a mask over the man's face, as we've seen before, so we had no idea who that person was. It didn't look, I'll be honest, between you and me, it did not look like Seth Rollins' body shape, but I could be dead wrong about that. It looked more like Austin Theory, but that's just my theory, but that's just my take. And so that'd be interesting. That would be an interesting little wrinkle to add to the division if there was a mole within their ranks. Their plan is basically gone to kaput from the off, because Austin Theory got Bron Breakker out after Adam Pearce weirdly had insisted him being number 2, or he says he didn't, but Bron Breakker got number 2 out there. Anyway, long story short, that happened. Obafemi dominated the early stages, eliminated like 4 or 5 people, and then was on his own for number 7, which I think was Damian Priest, who came out, and then the ring then starts to fill up after that. But other than that, I thought it was fine. But not a lot of, other than that, there wasn't a lot of big stories coming out of the match, which I think is my biggest gripe, to be honest, because usually that's part of the fun of the Rumble, is not just teasing stories for Mania, but also just having moments. And actually, I don't think there was many moments, which is, again, I think is probably the biggest slight I could give it. Which is a shame, really, because I think that really does go to how you feel after the Rumble. And again, you can be a bit philosophical about this and a bit sort of, oh, it didn't go the way I thought it would. And I really don't want to say that, but for me, it was just other than Obafemi's early domination, not a lot happened. I mean, like, and by the way, I've got to mention, this is going to be a little bit of a moan. The camera direction all night was pretty poor, like really poor in some. Like, completely missed Brie Bella's return entrance. Missed a few other spots. I mean, it was really noticeable during the men's Rumble. There were moments happening in the ring that the cameras missed, and I think in part because it felt like, to me, they were actually adhering to a regular time clock for the first time ever. You know, when you're watching a Rumble, and you have done in previous years, and almost feels like they wait. You know, the clock's not dead on 90 seconds every time. There is sort of a holding pattern to wait until a moment's ready to be done, and then they'll start the clock again. Or they'll start the countdown for the next 10 seconds for the next person to go out. It seemed like this year they were actually adhering to an actual clock. So there were moments where happened, such as like Brock Lesnar getting eliminated, just while someone else is coming out, which the camera completely missed, and it was really glossed over. There was other moments like LA Knight getting eliminated, moments where like Jey Uso speared Roman Reigns, which could have been a big moment. It was really, I felt in some capacity, really rushed. So yeah, I thought it was a bit of a messy Rumble, the men's. That's why I preferred the women's, because I think the women have a lot more time to breathe and tell a few more stories. Other than what I've already said about the sort of, I mean, the three remaining Vision members teamed up on some people, and then LA Knight made his return, eliminated two of them, and then got eliminated himself unceremoniously. The other moments, Cody Rhodes was in the Rumble for a good period, and then he was in part eliminated by Drew McIntyre giving him a Claymore whilst he was sort of hanging on the ropes on the outside. And then Jacob Fatu sort of got unceremoniously eliminated by Roman Reigns whilst watching Cody Rhodes get eliminated. And in the end, Roman Reigns wins after Gunther comes in at number 30 with a dodgy leg after his battle with AJ earlier in the night. And again, I think, why is Gunther number 30? I know they'd already sort of leaked the fact he was going to be in the Rumble anyway. So when there was only one number left, and I thought, oh, it's going to be Gunther, isn't it? I don't know why Gunther was in it. He could have been replaced by anybody for that spot, because he didn't go on to win it, in which case why have him in it? I don't think it does his story any good to just go from the career killer to then losing in the final two in the Royal Rumble, unless he's going to go target Roman Reigns now, which I don't think is probably going to happen, but maybe it is, I don't know. Long story short, yes, Roman Reigns is your 2026 Royal Rumble winner. It's not who I would have picked. I know he'd been heavily leaked during the week, and I thought that's probably a misdirection from WWE, because it's the most boring winner possible. You know, with respect, I like Roman Reigns, but it's the least imaginative one I could pick. And you sort of like, where are we now going into Mania now? We've got two champions currently with Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. Roman Reigns is probably going to pick CM Punk, if any, and that's sort of interesting to me on paper, but they've got to do something to tell a story. But maybe look, I'm damning them before they've even tried it. So we'll see what comes of it. Maybe I'll be pumped going into Mania about this potential match. But I've, in a similar online fan, I got really excited about the AJ Finn CM Punk triple threat at Mania. So I was a bit disappointed from that regard. So that is me sort of fantasy booking. But look, we'll see. I think this is probably a ticket selling move. That's me being really cynical. And the other match will be probably the more interesting one, which will be Drew McIntyre, Jacob Fatu, and Cody for the belt, which has been sort of long vaunted. Or maybe we won't even get that. But we'll see. We've got an Elimination Chamber up next from Chicago. So we'll probably formulate the Mania plans there for both belts, and we'll know going forward. But I think now we're going to get into the which belt will he pick category with Roman Reigns. Yeah, all in all, I thought it was a fine show. Some really good matches in some capacity, especially Gunther AJ was a really good match. The women's I really enjoyed. I thought that was a lot of fun, personally. The men's was so poorly produced. And that's me being really harsh, but I can't help it. I just felt in some capacity, I was like, oh, it feels like you're rushing through it. And you're not telling any stories. People are being unceremoniously dumped over the top rope. You're missing out on loads of opportunities. For Obafemi had a good showing, and Javon Evans had a really good showing. Other than that, I don't think anyone else really did, apart from Roman Reigns, who won it. That's probably it. Poor Trick Williams. I don't think he should have even bothered turning up. He got thrown out within 5 minutes. Weird. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the show. Like I said, not a terrible show, but not one of the more better Royal Rumbles in history. I really wish every year they would open up, they haven't got the WWE Network anymore, but just open up YouTube, get the 2018 Men's Rumble up. That's how the template should be, the template for every Royal Rumble going forward. You want to tell stories, every participant have a part to play in that Rumble, and you're also setting things up for the future, and you're making things entertaining at the same time. Okay, that's just it. That's it. And I don't think they achieved that with the men, certainly tonight. But those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Did you enjoy the show? Are you looking forward to Wrestlemania? Are you on the Triple H Out Brigade, which seems to be the online campaign at the moment, which I'm not on board with, by the way. I think he's doing a job. Let me know in the comment section below. Please leave a like, subscribe on the channel, and I'll speak to you next time. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Bye-bye.